Cool. How are we going to start with this one? I have a question for you.
Okay.
It is a serious question,
Okay.
so I got a serious mind. If you were
Always serious.
if you were a goon, how would you prepare for a Batman attack?
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I would probably try and wear padded clothing, not like fluffy padding, but I'd try and buy some padded armor sort of stuff to try and soften blows. Because there's no way you're gonna win. There's you've got to admit to yourself there's no way you will win. So you've just got to try and take precautions all over to try not to die, basically.
So my plan was to strap puppies to myself.
Oh. Okay.
Because he's not going to attack the puppies, is he?
He wouldn't. Or just cover yourself in Martha.
I would stink of pee.
Just
just the name Martha all over.
Yeah, or just have one of those little red stickers that says, "Hello, my name is Martha."
Martha.
That's his weakness.
This is one weakness. We figured it out. Zack Snyder made it canon. It's almost Easter. Have you got any Easter eggs?
No, I have my yearly Easter card from my gran here.
All right.
I've not got any eggs because I don't know. I've gone off chocolate a bit recently, but I don't do anything for Easter these days. When I was little, I used to have extravagant Easter egg hunts around my garden and stuff, but I'm a bit old for that now. So,
Yeah. I don't think I ever got Easter cards. I don't remember that being a thing, but loads of people buy stuff in the shops. We were selling loads when I was working the other day.
It's my gran. My gran's the only Easter card I get. So,
And then my loving parents gave me money to go and buy.
Oh, that's a very extravagant one. What's that?
It was just dairy milk. It's not even the biggest. It's not even the biggest one. Ugh.
Oh.
But it was a good deal, $3.95 from Tesco with a Tesco Club card.
Very nice.
I also got this.
I think
one. It's a white chocolate Twix one.
I think we're making our own this year. And by that, we're melting chocolate and putting. We've got little
you have
plastic moldy things. Yeah. So that'd be fun if it actually happens. I've heard rumors. Sometimes things will be mentioned in this house. Things will happen. Sometimes they do happen. Sometimes they don't happen.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't think I got Easter eggs last year because it was the same as with Christmas. I didn't get an advent calendar because what's the point?
You're on your own.
Yeah.
I
just eat it all.
I have the discipline to do an advent calendar.
I don't have any discipline.
I enjoy an advent calendar. But I like an Easter egg. I've not had an Easter egg. I need to find an Easter egg.
Yeah. There's some.
They're cheap chocolate. They're decently cheap chocolate as well, in terms of the amount of chocolate you get most of the time. So
they're smaller, I think.
Are they smaller this year?
Well, they seem to get smaller every year.
I've had cream eggs this year. I love a cream egg. Had a lot of cream eggs. And the Cadbury Oreo eggs. Don't know if you've had any of them. They're just cream eggs, but with the Oreo.
Oreo,
Yeah, so they're nice. I had one of them last night.
I like the caramel dairy milk eggs as well. I think if I was to rank them, it would go cream egg, caramel egg, Oreo egg.
Yes.
And then Lindor egg, because that's just...
Sometimes Lindt chocolate, it's really nice, but it's too sweet sometimes. You can't eat a lot of Lindt chocolate,
Yeah.
It's not good to have all the time. But this is a nerdy podcast. I thought, when have we turned
This is a
into
nerdy podcast. I was just looking around for a topic starter.
A topic
but
to start us off. There's no segue out of Easter eggs.
If we're going to get into the thing, right? This is segue masterclass. So we're talking about Easter eggs and talking about buying our own because we're students now. What are we students of? We are film students, and because we're film students, Jesus. Of course, what would be? We were what's a unique thing to do? So as film students, we're going to talk about our favorite directors.
I can't believe it's come to this. It's come to the point where we are the thing that we hate.
How did it come to it sooner? Is what I'm wondering.
We're the people we're the people we see on TikTok and go, oh, for fuck's sake, shut up. You know, like the people, you know, those kind of people now, you know, the ones that are like, these are the top 5 best directors in, not subjectively, just objectively. If you don't like these guys, you're wrong.
Don't get it twisted, fool. This is not the top 5 best directors. This is our favorite directors.
Yeah, yes, to be fair, that is correct.
This is all subjective.
It's all subjective. We're all wrong. We're always wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there is one objective answer to who is the best, and we might get to that soon. So initially I had wanted to do a wee game where we tried to guess each other's favorite directors, and then I messaged you the first part of the answer of the topic, which was think about your favorite director, and then as I tried to send "Don't tell me yet," my Wi-Fi stopped, and then you obviously put your answer in, which was
Paul Thomas Anderson, because he's the guy that always comes to my mind first when I think about my favorite directors. You know, I have a connection to him because he's kind of like the first kind of like director I sort of like binge watched when I started to enjoy film, and I started to like think about it more. So I just wanted to watch more. I think I watched Punch Drunk Love. I got the Criterion of Punch Drunk Love on a whim and just sort of watched all of his work, and then had the experience of seeing most of his work in 35mm at the Film House in Edinburgh, and that was just, you know,
still not seen it.
What? Any of his work?
Punch Drunk Love. I've seen. He did Hard 8, didn't he?
Hard 8, yes.
So I've seen Hard 8. I've seen Boogie Nights. I've seen
Magnolia. Surely you've seen Magnolia.
Seen Magnolia.
Yeah. There Will Be Blood. Surely you've seen There Will Be Blood.
I have not seen There Will Be Blood.
Wow.
I have not seen The Master. I have not seen the other one.
I can't. Phantom. I can't say my Fs. You know what I'm like with my Fs. Phantom Thread. That's his name.
Phantom Fred.
Yes, because for the longest time you guys thought I was talking about a ghost comedy.
Phantom Fred.
Yeah.
It's Daniel Day-Lewis with a really high-pitched voice, and he goes around.
Like, ooh!
I haven't seen Inherent Vice.
That's a good one.
And I haven't seen.
You'd like Inherent Vice.
I know. I want to see it. You have. Is it not? Is it on?
Inherent Vice is on Movies Anywhere.
It's on Movies Anywhere.
Inherent Vice is on Movies Anywhere, so you can watch that. But yeah, no. Inherent Vice is one of the ones that stand out. It's Joaquin Phoenix. There's something, the way that he makes movies is it's going to be I think it's really hard to replicate the experience, because the way he makes movies is they are for the big screen. So I saw that, the first time I saw that was at the cinema, because I sort of, once I realized they were doing the festival, well, not festival, doing the series of films, I sort of stopped my binge and just waited for these films to watch for the first time at the cinema. And Inherent Vice on 35mm at the Film House, just massive screen. And it just sort of takes you in. It's one of those movies where you just sort of like get wrapped up in it. It's fucking mental, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's great. It's one of my favorites of his. I think Punch Drunk Love always stands above the rest, so I love that movie. It's so beautifully made.
Yeah, I meant to watch it around the time of Uncut Gems, but I just never got to it.
It's annoying because I don't have a digital copy of it, otherwise I'd thingy it. But you should
I'm sure it was on Netflix for a time. I don't know if it's still there, but yeah, it's a shame.
Sometimes it's relatively cheap. The Criterion Blu-ray is really good. Sometimes that's relatively cheap to buy, but that's what introduced me to it, and I just have an undying love for that man now, because he's also married to Maya Rudolph.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that.
Yeah, it's just an unlikely pairing. He loves comedies. He loves Adam Sandler comedies. That's why he got Adam Sandler to work with him on Punch Drunk Love, is because he loves like silly comedies. He's got a great sense of humor, but he also is a masterful director. I'd love to see him make like a stupid Adam Sandler comedy just for the sake of it. Not that he would, but that'd be, get him on the Ridiculous 7.
Do you know if he's working on anything?
Yes, he is doing a 80s high school film. I think Bradley Cooper's in it.
Oh yes, yeah,
that one. I don't know much about it, but there's a big cast for that one, and it's definitely on a watch list. I'm very excited. I think it's either this year or next year. Probably be next year at this rate, but my God.
Soggy Bottom.
Is that what it's called?
Set in 1970s San Fernando Valley, the film follows a high school student who is also a successful child actor. It stars Bradley Cooper, Ben Safdie, Joseph Cross, Anthony Molinari, Alana Haim from the band Haim. Or Haim.
Oh, Haim.
No, but they did a TikTok where they're like,
yes,
this is how you pronounce it. I think it's Haim. Because he's been directing, he did their music videos.
The music videos, yeah.
So that's quite cool. And then Ben Safdie, they did was it an A24 podcast or a something podcast together where they talked about Uncut Gems. I remember
it feels like such a filmy answer. You know what I mean? Like one of those like film bro answers. I feel like ones the kind of ones that are shamed. But I do just love Paul Thomas Anderson. You know, like how people have like get shamed for liking things these days.
That's just a result of being a massive fan of cinema and wanting to watch all those like not niche stuff, but like stuff that casual viewers don't always seek out.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we do find things that we love, and because they are really good, everyone agrees.
Mm-hmm. And then everyone's like, "Oh, but how dare you like that?" So
yeah, that's how it becomes cliched,
and it's just. I love that man. I love that man with all my heart, and I could watch Punch Drunk Love till the end of time.
Fantastic.
My desert island movie. I just have to guess your ones, don't I? Because I don't know what you've chosen, or are we going to just list them?
I've got right. So I decided to I was like, Cameron's got 5, I think. I'll make a list of mine, but instead of doing 5 directors, I did it in like 5 categories of why I like them or love them.
Okay.
So the 5th one, I'll go like probably my least favorite, and it's just these 2 men are just they're pretty new, and they're people that their films are fascinating, and I am anticipating their next film. And those 2 men are Robert Eggers, who did The Witch or The Vivitch and The Lighthouse.
It's The Witch.
And Ari Astor, who did Hereditary and Midsommar.
So the A24 horror bros, basically, then. Yeah.
Because they do all stylish and it's just very, very fascinating.
They do the thinky horrors.
Yeah, but then you listen to them on podcasts and you're like, they sound like completely normal people.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert Eggers, he's his next film is The Northman, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and it's about Vikings. So it's just going to be cool. But we don't know what ratio it's going to be filmed in, or if it's going to be in color.
Like, do you know what? It's going to be in a circle this time. You know, he's gone from normal. He's gone 166 to 133. I think he's going to go for a circle next time.
Yeah. And he went from bland color scheme to black and white to I think it's going to be black and white again, but everything's switched.
It's like a negative.
It's a negative film. Imagine.
Oh my God.
Let's do it. So and then Ari Aster, he did Hereditary and Midsommar, and he's now doing is it Disappointment Boulevard? Something like that.
I don't know what he's up to. I just sort of get the news as it comes out at this point. I don't know much about the rumors and stuff like that.
Is I have a list.
Oh, you were supposed to be prepared. I wasn't prepared.
I know.
I'm not prepared.
No, I have a list on notes of like loads of directors and their next films. Disappointment Boulevard. It is a decade-spanning portrait of one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, starring
Is that
Joaquin Phoenix.
That's not the musical one. What was the musical one? That's a different thing. That's a different thing altogether. Ignore me.
Okay. But
that sounds exciting. He makes very good horror films. I wasn't a massive fan of Hereditary when I watched it the first time, but I feel like I need to rewatch it because I really enjoyed Midsommar the more I rewatched it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen Midsommar about 3 times now.
Yeah.
The director's cut twice, which is like stupidly long, but worth it.
Oh right, I haven't even watched the director's cut.
The director's cut's alright. It's the only one that's on the streaming services. If you've watched it on like Prime since, but it's long.
All right.
Yeah.
Who is your second boy or woman?
It's bad that it's always boys because I struggle to think it's very upsetting that I struggle to think of favorite directors that I enjoy enough to put in like a top 5. Like I would love to say Greta Gerwig, but I didn't like Lady Bird and I wasn't a massive fan of Frances Ha. I like
What did you
some
think
of the
of
stuff
Little
when
Women?
I thought Little Woman was alright. I did enjoy Little Woman. Just not enough to go, yes, I love this. She's now my favorite director of all time. Who are the people I wrote? Who are the people you sent to me? You told me my favorite directors. No, we'll just go Wes Anderson then, because that's another cliched film boy director that I love and binge watched at the beginning of all these favorite directors. Sort of got carved out about the beginning of 2017 when I went on a massive binge of just movies that I always liked the look of, and then realized they were like actual genuinely like masterpieces. So, you know what I mean? From like all the way from Bottle Rocket to Isle of Dogs, Wes Anderson is very consistent. I think Darjeeling Limited is the only one that's a bit iffy, and that's about it. I love all of them, just about equally. I don't even know what one I'd pick. If you had to pick what Wes Anderson film would you pick if you were to pick one?
For my favorite Wes Anderson film?
Yeah.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
That's a good one. I think.
Love it so much.
I think maybe like it's not great. Moonrise Kingdom. That's the one that comes to mind. That's one of my favorites. Moonrise Kingdom. That was another one of the beginning ones. But yeah, most of these just seem to be linked to me loving the time of life that I watched these. And maybe if I rewatched these all a lot, I would have a different opinion. But yeah, no, Wes Anderson. The style you can't talk about Wes Anderson and not talk about his style. Because that is the most consistent style of anybody, I think, in film.
We did a PowerPoint presentation in uni for Wes Anderson. For his style.
I did a whole bloody video essay montage thing on Wes Anderson. So, yeah, no, he's very easy to talk about in that regard. And he just
his oeuvre.
His oeuvre. He's the person that proves auteur theory. You know, you know.
Yeah.
Let's bring out all the big words we've learned over the last 4 years, just at the very end. Male gaze.
Modernity. Yeah, Wes Anderson. Yeah, I haven't seen. Obviously, The French Dispatch will never come out, and we're never going to see it.
No, that'll be straight to Hulu. Unfortunately, at this point, I think it's just going to be a sad time for everybody.
Yeah. I haven't seen Bottle Rocket or Rushmore. I think those are the only.
They're the first
two films I haven't seen.
Bottle Rocket is such a departure from everything else. It's his first movie, so it's like more straight-laced in terms of like there's no obvious visual flair. There's still elements there, but it's not over the top in terms of like looking at Grand Budapest Hotel, where Wes Anderson has gone full Wes Anderson.
It's very orthodox. Orthodox
yes,
filmmaking.
It's very normal. So it's it's just a normal movie. But Rushmore is where it starts to get a bit more thing, and is that Jason Schwartzman? He's he's the young guy in it, and Bill Murray, who is amazing in Rushmore.
Yeah. So for my next category, it's another tour, another two boys, and this is on what I've titled World Building Genius. And these are two men who just put so much detail into their worlds when they're planning the films. And those men are Guillermo del Toro and George Miller.
I thought you were going to say Tim Story, director of Fantastic Four and Tom and Jerry. And
I forgot about him.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah. That was your first guess for my favorite director was Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro. You go on him all the time. You go on him all the time.
I love him as a person. He did direct my favorite film, which is Pan's Labyrinth, basically because I think that's a perfect film. He just has this aura about him that he's a big cuddly bear, and he's got great stories in real life. His dad was abducted by the cartel, and then Steven Spielberg or James Cameron bailed him out. So that would be a fun film.
Christ.
He's a man who has so many ideas, but he's rarely ever allowed to make his ideas. But when he does, with like Shape of Water, they do well. They do very well.
Pacific Rim.
They win awards.
That was
Pacific Rim. Yeah, he does.
That's a world building
drawing. One. I have a book. I have 2 books. I have a Pan's Labyrinth book, and I have a Guillermo del Toro At Home with Monsters book, which is loads of like...
you got books on both walls. That's incredible. You got books. You just in a room full of books.
Oh yes, behind me. Yeah, this is all my like classical stuff. This is like like Great Gatsby and the works of Nietzsche and the Red Book by and it's just loads of fun drawings. And then George Miller is just a madman who has a wasteland in his head and backstories for every character, and then he'll go and make Happy Feet.
Yes. It's crazy, that man's filmography blows me away every time I read it. Mad Max, and it was one of the ones you could pull out as a very cool world that I wish was explored more. And I wish, but it's almost the beauty of it is the fact that it's only 4 films. You know what I mean? That's almost like, it's the beauty of it is that it's just so, you can feel the expansiveness of the world when you're in it, watching the film. But once, like, there's only like 4 entries of it. So that's kind of how brilliant he is at that world building.
I also have The Art of Mad Max Fury Road, which has loads of backstories on the Duforier, which is the guy with no eyes that plays guitar, the flamethrower guitar. He's just brilliant, and I can't wait for Furiosa and the other film that I think he's finished filming and is now editing, starring Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba, which is like a 1,000 years of longing or something like that.
I've never even heard of that. That's impressive. That sounds cool.
But yeah, and then he's got Furiosa with Anya Taylor-Joy, who's just in everything now.
And we love her for it.
Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, and the man from Aquaman, whose name I do not know, so I'm not going to attempt. Your next one.
Oh, right. How's your Hitchcock? Because I have a soft spot for that man.
I have seen Birds, North by Northwest, Vertigo.
Psycho? Sure, they've seen Psycho. What?
I've not seen it.
Rear Window? You'd love Rear Window. Rear Window
I know.
is so up your alley.
I want to see Rear Window and Rope.
Rope is amazing. Rope is incredible. Rope is one of the best films I think I've ever, in terms of sheer blown awayness, Rope is one of the films that's blown me away the most. It's like incredible. Incredibly acted and just incredibly well directed. Hitchcock is amazing at what he does. He varied so much throughout his career, and I'm more talking about. He drops off significantly in the 60s, just at the end of the 60s into the 70s. He drops off. He just loses his spark. Something goes. They're all a slog to get through. But there's a point where he comes to Hollywood, and it's mainly the stuff that Universal keep re-releasing, and for rightly so, because it is just incredible. He, like, from Saboteur, I think it's called, and all the way up to like just late. I don't even know what, like, later on stuff. There's only like one dip. I really didn't enjoy The Trouble with Harry, which is about a town trying to hide a dead body. That wasn't great. But apart from that, The Birds is great. Psycho is obviously rightly so considered one of the best movies of all time.
I've also seen Strangers on a Train. Because we watched that for uni.
I'm getting in the middle. Is that the one that ends with the train going? No, that's
That's the one that ends with the not the Ferris wheel, but the cartel wheel. I've completely forgotten what it's called.
Yeah.
Carousel.
I can't remember if it's North by Northwest or Vertigo that ends with the train going into the tunnel, and every media teacher goes, "This right here, kids, it implies that they're having sex."
Oh. I don't remember much North by Northwest apart from the obvious the plane shot and them fighting on Mount Rushmore.
It was that one then. Yes, North by Northwest. That's it ends with a Mount Rushmore fight, and then that stuff's incredible. I really want to buy the Hitchcock collection and watch them again for it's gonna be exciting. But no, I love that, and it's again a point in my life where I just sort of I had time to enjoy these movies. I just harkens back to all that. That's why I love, and also they're incredible directors. So he's an incredible director. He's great.
So the third category I've gone for is narrative master craftsman, and the person I've gone for is Britain's own Edgar Wright, who directed and wrote Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and The World's End and Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and soon to be The Last Night in Soho. He's just a man. He can do visual storytelling at its best. Especially Baby Driver. It's a film that is choreographed to music. Hot Fuzz, one of the greatest comedies of all time. Just great writing. He's really good at foreshadowing things, like with, opening sequence of Shaun of the Dead. The third film, The World's End, the names,
the third film,
the names of the pubs foreshadow the story. He's just very fun, and he knows a lot of indie films that nobody's ever heard of.
He's very well versed in his. He's very Sidney Literate. He's very he had a very good situation. I really wanted to follow along, but I just wasn't in the headspace at the time when he was sort of like posting the last kind of pile of Blu-rays he'd watched on Instagram, and I was like, wow, I should really be taking notes, but I completely forgot to sort of follow along with that. But he really knows what he's doing. I love the beginning stuff of Hot Fuzz, where it's sort of like as he travels to the entire opening sequence where he's traveling with his plant and stuff on the train, and just I think was it Every Frame of Painting did like a was that Every or Nerdwriter, one of them did like a essay on the whole like dullness made action packed kind of style that he has in that film. It's incredible.
Yeah. And then you've seen Scott Pilgrim, haven't you?
Of course I've seen Scott Pilgrim. What sort of man do you take me for? What sort of like manic pixie dream girl, like obsessed 11-year-old did you think I was?
It is. Yeah, that film is amazing. I loved it without even knowing that it was Edgar Wright because I didn't pay attention. I can still remember seeing the departure posters.
From the Cornetto trilogy. It's not the same, like in a way. It's still the same, but it's not entirely. Like, it'd be difficult to tell, and they're all American or Canadian.
Have you seen Spaced?
Yes, most of Spaced. I started watching Spaced. I think I got to the end of season 1 again. I just dropped off. I don't know why. I think it was the adverts in all 4.
Oh, it's on Netflix, isn't it?
No.
Oh,
might have been for a while, but not when I watched it. I watched it when it was advertised in all 4.
Right. It's a very good show.
It's a very good show.
Watch the rest of it. Because you're next, boy.
I'm next. I'll go for one last one because I was in a toss up. I was just talking before we got on. There was a toss up kind of between. Is it on Netflix?
Netflix.
Oh, it might not have been at the time. Fuck knows. Might have been before it was on Netflix. I don't know. I watched on all 4. I like to support my public service podcasters. My toss up was between Denis Villeneuve and Sean Baker, and I think I'm going to go for Denis Villeneuve. As much as I love Sean Baker in The Florida Project and Tangerine, I think I've seen more Denis films than I have Sean films, so I just sort of thought, as much as Sean Baker's amazing at realism in cinema and just what he does is incredible, I think Denis Villeneuve's films and filmography in general is just very diverse, but also just incredible as well. I mean, you go from stuff like a Polytechnic to Incendies to Blade Runner, it just gets better and better and better. Sicario always a major standout just in terms of just atmosphere. That the Sicario will like just you can't help but not be gripped by it. Like it's just like edge of your seat sort of stuff. It's incredibly directed, and is that another Deakins film?
Yes, yes,
Deakins. Yeah,
Roger Deakins.
So yeah, incredible stuff all the time. I fucking loved any film. Because what sort of stands out to you? Because I know you kind of feel the same way. I know you've not seen as many films as I have, but
yeah, I like how he is able to mix like realistic violence and like action, so like it's actually impactful and everything's intense. Like especially the highway scene in Sicario when they're all in traffic. He's able to mix that with epic visuals and just awe-inspiring cinema with obviously with the help of Roger Deakins, but just how he did Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, and Sicario. I think they're the only Villeneuve films I've seen.
I can't believe you've not seen Prisoners. Prisoners is incredible. That's Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. That is a genuinely incredible movie. I watched it with my family, and they were all like, "It's not a jump scary movie. It's not a scary movie, but it's just one of those thrillers that sort of makes you jump." You know, they're like the kind that are like, "Oh fuck!" Like it's a great mystery in that movie. A great mystery in that movie. I love that. I love Prisoners. Also incredibly violent. Also realistic violence in that film. That sort of makes you flinch, and that's what he's great at. It makes you flinch violence, but also makes you think movies. Makes you inspired cinematography. He makes you use your noggin, and that's what I like about Mr. Villeneuve.
Yeah, Mr. Newtown. Yeah, so we're going to go on to the final man.
Yes, I'll give you your final man because
the man who I teased as the greatest filmmaker of all time, because I forgot who directed Alvin and Chipmunks. So. In second place, Steven Spielberg is without a doubt. I haven't checked with you, but I would say without a doubt the greatest director of all time.
One of the most respected, well respected, especially as sort of big films. I'd imagine, I would agree.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah, that's why people are so sort of disappointed in his more recent films, is because you know what I mean. It's like they're still great. I don't think he's ever made a truly terrible movie. He might have, but I've never seen a truly terrible Spielberg film.
The Post.
The Post isn't terrible. That's this
Ready Player One.
You know, I don't like that movie, but it's not truly terrible.
Yeah, he is. I think him, James Cameron, and Robert Zemeckis are the three are the big and they're on the Mount Rushmore of filmmaking. I don't know who the fourth would be. I think loads of people would disagree with who the fourth person is, because you'd have people.
Well, who did you say the three were? Sorry, James Cameron and
Robert Zemeckis.
You could stick Lucas on there, I think.
George
I know
Lucas.
He's not done much more apart from Star Wars. The man helped produce Indiana Jones, Howard the Duck.
Yeah, but then you'd also have people that are like Alfred Hitchcock or Quentin Tarantino, who we surprisingly didn't talk about. But yeah,
but that's
Spielberg,
not surprising because I don't enjoy Tarantino films.
Steven Spielberg, we don't need to say what he did. He did Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Again, like you said, makes it look easy. It's
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. That was one I did that recently for 35-minute movies, and oh my god, Saving Private Ryan. Watching that again, it's an incredible film.
He doesn't have an oeuvre. He doesn't have a distinct style. He's just he's very flexible and versatile, and he just gets it done, and he's fantastic. And then he's everyone's childhood. Maybe not so much for the new generations, but like everyone, at least our age, can be like,
I'll force him upon my children. Don't worry about that.
Well, yeah, but stop forcing things upon children, Cameron. So yeah, So those are our
That's
favorite
sort of it.
directors.
I think the directors, yeah, that's
Do you want to fire off any ones? I'm just gonna save us and do some like great women directors that
okay.
that haven't made the list because we haven't seen they haven't done a lot of films, but they are great. So Lynn Ramsey.
Yes, Lynn Ramsey. I can't believe you're never
Morgan
really
Keller,
here. And
never.
Yep.
Deborah Granick.
Don't know who that is. Got to tell me who.
She did. Am I getting that right? She did Leave No Trace.
Oh right! Wow.
Is it Deborah Granick?
That's a great film.
She did. Yeah, I can't wait for her next film. Ava Duverny. She had a bit of a rough patch with A Wrinkle in Time. It's one of the worst films of ever, but Selma is pretty great.
I've never seen. I have seen Selma, but I have a feud with her, unfortunately, so I can't say.
It's a very one-sided feud, Cameron.
It's a very one-sided feud, but I have a feud with that.
It's more like you just don't like her.
Hey, it's not my fault. Well, it is my fault. I was an idiot. I was an idiot, stupid teenager, but it doesn't matter. That's a story for another time. Amma Asante, I think that's the person who did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a great film. But also did The Bad Batch, which is not great.
Celine Scammer, am I pronouncing that right? Celine.
Yeah, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and she did the other stuff as well. This is a really
Girlhood
sexist
is a very. It's not sexist. We're just bad. Chloe Zhao.
Yes.
She's gonna win the Oscar.
And Kathy Yan. Yeah,
gonna win the Oscar. Yeah. Fantastic.
And that's the thing. The great thing about this is that these people all have like one or two films, and they will soon, thankfully, have more films to talk about and say, well, yes, look at their entire filmography of like 10 films or whatever. These people will go on to make loads more films, and that's what's great is they're finally breaking through. Because that's what the issue is. There weren't that many opportunities given to them in the past, and now let's fucking go, girl boss.
I wonder how many people are going to be surprised we didn't talk about like Hayao Miyazaki or Tim Burton.
You didn't bring him up.
Because I'm not a child.
Oh. Fucking hell.
No, he's fantastic. Obviously.
Tim Burton's good. He's great. Yeah.
Miyazaki.
Who are the other obvious ones?
Dick though. Akira Kurosawa.
Oh yeah, just all the film studenty ones. We could have gone Nolan. Daddy Nolan, please.
We say that, but he is very good at filmmaking.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, so that's our list. Now we're going to go into our weekly segment that we like to call what we watched this week.
You've gone too close to the mic there. It was very, very horrible.
What we watched this week. What we watched this week.
I'll start. Can I start?
Okay.
I liked Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar very much. It was a really great movie, and I'm so glad the advertising didn't ruin it. Do you know? Because like the trailers I saw had no hints to the real plot of that film at all. So the way that movie opens, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's sort of like I was like, have I put the right film on? What the fuck am I watching? And then it just descends into madness, and it's some of the best madness I've ever watched.
How long did it take you to realize who the villain was?
Oh, instantly. I was like,
it took me a good few minutes. I was like, who is this person? I knew she was under a lot of makeup, but I didn't know who it was. But it was great to find out.
And it makes sense in a way, and further on with the relationship that develops between Jamie Dornan and another character. In a way, it makes sense because of that. Some of the funniest sequences. It's one of the funniest gags. Just oh god, the chemistry between Barb and Star is incredible. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was so funny.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other films apart from the big two?
I watched Vin Diesel movies, but you can hear me talk about that on 35-minute movies on another channel. A little bit of a plug in there. Apart from that, just the usual television I watch weekly, and that's that was not quite a quiet week for me.
Cool.
What did you watch?
There we go. I finally watched Man on the Moon, the film.
Hey. I love
about
that movie.
Andy.
Andy Kaufman.
That's the one. Sorry, I just had a wee stroke there.
It really stuck with you then.
Yeah,
It really
Andy
stuck with
Kaufman, played by Jim Carrey. It's a film that it's an all right film. Like it was good, but what stood out about the film is the production, which they then made a documentary about, which I watched straight after, which is Jim and Andy: The Great Beyond, which is about how Jim Carrey decided that because Andy Kaufman was this guy who never considered himself to be a comedian, he was a self-proclaimed song and dance man. He would always commit to characters, and his decisions for comedy were basically, I'm going to give people a good time if they deserve it. So that's why he'd at the beginning of his show, he'd always be terrible, and then for the people that stayed, he'd make them laugh and entertain them. So Jim Carrey decided that for the entirety of the production, he was going to stay in character as Andy Kaufman, who is also a man who had another character called is it Tony Clifton? Tony Clifton. Yeah. And the whole thing about Andy and Tony Clifton was that they would never break character, and they would never say they were the same person. And they were always two different people. So that's what Jim Carrey also did, and he caused a lot of strife on the production. And you think he went too far? I don't think he really did.
The documentary makes out to be like he was a dick, though. There was a lot of like.
I didn't see that. I didn't get.
Did you not? It was the stropping about, and he just caused. There was I was watching some other footage as well where he just seemed very. I don't know. It was just. It made me like.
Because there were loads of people that were part of it that were saying like it brought out the best in them for their.
I get that. I think it was more. There was a little bit of pretentiousness going on with Jim Carrey at the time, where he was sort of like, "This is it. I'm gonna like." Branch out, be a proper actor and all that stuff, and he's like, I think what most sat wrong with me was like, and Andy just came back. He said, you know what? I'm gonna make my movie, and he just like as if he was possessed by the ghost of Andy Kaufman to make the movie. That's sort of like what sat wrong with me for the entire thing. And then, I get that. And then Milos Forman, I think, was a very good director to get all around all that nonsense.
He's very patient,
very patient.
But
man.
even he was like, oh, it was tough, and then I thought, no, it's great. And he was like, and he decided that is best, and it brought out for especially for like the cast of Taxi, because they all reprised their roles. They all were all playing their selves. So everyone was like, it's like Andy's really here. So it brought out more emotion in them, and especially that bit where he and the man who plays his dad are arguing, in character, because the man who plays the dad is just like it's the best stuff I've done, and then the makeup artist begins to cry, because she's like, it reminds me of me and my dad.
Yeah,
at least he didn't send used condoms to his co-stars.
Yes, and dead rats and all that nonsense. There's much worse things you could do.
Yeah, which is infamously what Cameron did on the set of Silencio, our short film for uni.
Yes, and you can watch that short film on this channel. Thank you very much.
And then we've finally got to our big two films of the week, which we finally, luckily you managed to watch one of them today. First one was Godzilla, which you liked.
Yeah, it was like punchy monkey. It was great fun. I had a great time, and I think the reason you didn't like it was because you're a nitpicking bastard, and you watched it on telly, which might have been the key issue. I think you might have enjoyed it more if we'd seen it on like opening day in IMAX or something like that. I think the punchy fighty, it was a spectacle. Did you at least enjoy the spectacle of it?
No.
You just shit then.
Because it was right. Okay, so let me guess. If I don't like a film that you like, I'm nitpicking. But if I do like a film that you don't like, I'm a sheep. Okay, Cameron. No,
All right.
I don't think it was just because I was watching on a TV. I think it's the if I could see on my TV on like a 1080p that the visual effects were a bit iffy and the lighting was very strange.
The close-ups were very strange, where Godzilla just looks directly into your eyes. That was very much like, oh, this is weird. And I think that was what Adam Wingard was saying with emoting, because that was one of the things where I read this week, where they had to sort of fight Toho to make Godzilla sort of emote in different ways to sort of communicate with Kong.
Yeah.
And that was I got some of that, and there was a little bit of like acknowledgement between the two of them. But yeah, it's I enjoyed it. I thought there was some great spectacle, great action sequences. The human stuff again was a bit dull, but they sort of cut it out. The Millwall round was probably the weakest part, but I enjoyed the stuff with the deaf child and Rebecca Hall, and I enjoyed I think they were all sort of underused, and there's some great potential for future films. But yeah, I thought great visuals in general with some of the CGI work, especially in the place they travel to.
Also, hear me out. Alexander Skarsgård
Underused
as Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Purely based on the imagery of him in that supersuit. So beat definitively.
Yes.
Can't wait till the sequel round 2 is announced.
Yeah. I think I think we're gonna get more Hollow Earth stuff, but there's a crossroads right now where I think they could do an entire film without people in it and just have sort of Godzilla communicating with other people. Maybe not subtitled, but in a way that's like a silent movie almost. I think they could do it.
Also, how are they standing on the boat and it was just afloat like some kind of surfboard?
I loved it.
Yeah, so I gave this film 2 3/4 stars, I think.
3.5, I think, to 4. Midway between, I think I went up to 4 because I enjoyed it and just had a great time with it. That's enough for a movie for me. If I'm enjoying it enough to sort of let all these things slip away, I'm not really fussed. It's great fun, and the kind of stuff that I would have really loved to have seen in the cinema.
Next film we saw was Chaos Walking, which you've seen very recently, as of 2 hours ago.
Oh yeah,
so it's fresher in your mind.
Please don't make me recite the plot because I've not a fucking clue.
Now, I didn't find this film as terrible as I thought it would be. It's a bad film. They make very questionable decisions for like the narrative structure and editing and character acting. This film is about the humans have gone to another world called New World, which is really original. There's only men, there's no women, and all the men have their noise, which is their thoughts are visual. Their thoughts are floating around their head all the time. And then Daisy Ridley appears because she's from a different colony in space, and they crash, and then they yeah. I'm bored saying it.
It was just dull. There wasn't a lot to go off of. I don't know how that's a book. I'd love to see what sort of happens in that book, because I don't know what they were just sort of journeyed across a land to find other people that were girls.
Which for some reason nobody could do beforehand because it was really dangerous. But they ran into one lake monster, which Tom Holland killed instantly. He had a weird fight, which Daisy Ridley just sort of watched, and then they cut away before he could actually kill it. There was that weird mutant thing, or not a mutant, but like the native race of this planet, who didn't kill them and then went away, and then they didn't come back in the end. So I think that must have been cut from like reshoots or something.
Yeah, this film has been plagued with production troubles. It's not even development hell, it was just production hell. They've reshot this film. I think they reshot the entire film. Like that's how bad it got. I'd love to have seen what they had originally, if this is the best cut they had. But
it was the original cut was deemed unreleasable by executives. This is a Doug Liman film. This
Doug
is the
Liman
man who
usually
made
is really
Edge
solid.
of Tomorrow
Uh-huh.
and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Very actiony films. And in this film, it cuts away from all the action.
It's the film equivalent of a walking simulator game.
Yeah.
It's literally just walking through woods.
And
don't waste your money. Just don't. Like, we can conclude it now. Don't waste the £14 I want you to rent this movie.
We then
we got the speed for this.
Yeah. Then Friday we saw Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3.
Full spoiler warning again. Beep beep beep. Get it up on my screen.
At this point, you shouldn't be watching.
No, I know.
There's so many spoils. It was good. Bucky and Sam, they broke out Baron Zemo, and then they went on holiday to Madripoor, and they went to the Brass Monkey, and then they met Selby, and then Selby was killed, and then they ran away, and then they met Sharon Carter, and then Sharon Carter helped them find the doctor who was
That's not leader.
That was making super soldier serum because he had recreated it. And then they killed him, and then there was a fight, and then they drove away.
And then the episode ends.
Is that
pretty much? And then Bucky bumps into Ayo.
Dora Milaje.
Ayo.
There's the Wakandans.
Yeah. Some folk think it was supposed to be Chadwick Boseman, but this filmed while he was filming Ma Rainey, so it's entirely possible he is in the series somewhere. But I wouldn't get your hopes up, but also get your hopes up, I can't stop you.
So, few questions.
Yep.
Or few questions, few answers.
Madripoor. Speculation.
Let's talk about Madripoor.
Yes, I knew that place. I was very proud of myself because my family were like, "Is that real?" I was like, "No. That's a place that's linked like with the X-Men, and it's also in the series. It's also in the video game Marvel Heroes Omega, which I played a lot of. I don't know if you ever played that game.
I've not.
If you're not, it's very good. So I was like, "Yes, I know this place. It's like not very nice."
Madripoor is a very, very prominent location in the comics. It is a city near Singapore. It's inspired by Singapore. It rests on the head of a giant dragon,
but not in this, I'd imagine.
No, it would be a bit out of place. But it once became a mutant haven when I think it was Mystique flooded the entire city with mutant growth hormone, which actually has a link to Elijah Bradley, who we met in the last episode. Because Elijah Bradley, who's the son of Isaiah Bradley, who we did a whole thing on their origin, go watch that last episode. He gets powers, and he claims that he got it from a blood transfusion with his grandfather, but actually it was due to the use of mutant growth hormones. So he technically was a mutant, and then they didn't retcon it, but they fixed it by having him at a point need a blood transfusion, and his grandfather did it. So he does have Isaiah Bradley's blood.
The move of Madripoor a little bit, and we're kind of connected. Who's the power broker? Is that your next question? Is that your next rampant?
Yes. Who is the power broker?
Not Sharon Carter, but Sharon Carter definitely worked for whoever it is.
Or does she?
Do you think she's the power broker?
No, I think she's working on Flag Smashers.
Wow, that'd be a departure for her. Although she is a bit of a bitch now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she's a bitch. She was betrayed by her own government.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Because
she has her reasons. Yeah, but the sass levels were over the top.
She is the niece of the creator of S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And they just threw her away because she helped Captain America, so she's been on the run. But yeah, she helped them find the man who's supplying the power broker with super soldier serum. So I don't think she has anything to do. But we know because she got in a car. She was like, I gotta stay here, and then got in a car and was like, we got a problem. She's linked to someone. Can you hear the children in the flat above me running around?
No.
Okay, good. Let's hope you can't hear when their father shouts at them.
Can you hear the power tools in my back garden?
I cannot.
There you go then.
Next, so that is also what is Sharon Carter up to. But I want to see, who do you think the power broker is? Because either it's got to be...
It'll be someone I don't know. I think it's someone, a big name,
it's got to be, a named actor or a person we've already met.
I wouldn't go for a person we already met. I actually got a little bit confused a couple times in this episode. One of the times was with the leader thing already, but then I was like, oh no, it's not. They've not just recast him like Nelson. It's a different guy. And then the other time was thinking that was the power broker. I was like, who the fuck? That's a bit of a disappointment. Who the fuck is that? And then it was actually just Selby or whatever. I was like, oh right, okay.
Nah, the power broker is this. I think it's the big baddie. We're gonna find out who they are. People are thinking Thaddeus Ross, General Ross.
No, he's too straight-laced.
Yeah, he's all about law and order and stuff. So, but it seems like it is a person who, during the 5 years of the blip, sort of rose to power. So, who knows? Some people are thinking
Rocket Raccoon.
Justin Hammer. Some people are thinking Patch, the name that Wolverine went by when he sort of left the X-Men and bought a bar and was sort of a lawman and wore an eye patch.
The people that think the mutants are going to be in this are the same people that think that Chadwick Boseman was cut from this episode. Is it the same people?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is.
So that brings us to the final question: who is in episode 5 Cameo? Because the director, is it Mark Spellman?
It was Matt Shankman, was it not, for WandaVision? So I think it's Mark Spellman.
He did an interview recently where he teased a character or a cameo in episode 5, who, one, he'd like to see interact with Thor, and two, will make us cry.
Malcolm Spellman.
So who could it be? Malcolm Spellman. So yeah, people are thinking Chadwick due to the appearance of Io.
And crying as well. That's one of the things, is it's going to make you cry. And that's, unless it couldn't be Tony. Like, that's too big. Another one is Captain America, but they've already interacted with Thor, so it doesn't make sense. Black Panther has never interacted with Thor, I believe, like, properly.
No.
So
that's why I was saying to you, what if he was meaning Old Man Thor? Old Man Steve.
Old Man Cap.
Right, with,
yeah.
So, I guess we'll see. No theories here. I refuse.
No theories here.
No rampant speculation.
I would like to believe, just for my little brain, that it is Chadwick, as a lovely surprise. Because I love that man. And it'd be nice to get him in the role one last time, and they've left it as a surprise the entire time. It would also be nice if it was Old Man Cap, but they've ruled out Chris Evans coming back at all multiple times. So I don't know about that one, Chief.
Who knows?
But yes, Chadwick was not supposed to be in this episode. I'd imagine Io has a purpose for being there, because she was one of the people that was supposed to protect T'Chaka at the UN, I believe, and failed. So.
Also, this episode has a very John Wick feel, and that's because it was written by Derek Kolstad, who created John Wick.
Very interesting. Nice factoid for you there to end on.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. It's over. We're done.
That's it. It's done. You're still here? The movie's over. Go on. Go home.
Are you Deadpool from the movie Deadpool?
No. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. This has been Four Eyes and the Giant. I have been Jordi Steele. You can find me on Twitter at Jordi Steele. Cameron, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter at CamzoOG, and you can also find me doing my other podcast, 35 Minute Movies, a Vin Diesel podcast, with myself and Awais. We do a lovely podcast there. This week we talked about Triple X and the other film that I can't remember.
It must have
Knocker on
been good.
Guys.
Okay.
Knocker on Guys. It wasn't very good. It was a film they shelved for a long time and then released like 2 years later when Vin Diesel was famous.
I loved Triple X. It was a film. It was a film I had on my PSP that I would watch over and over again.
It's terrible, but it's so like just over the top, stupid.
I love the scene. I was gonna say, I love how they repeatedly try to pander to children, because one at his party at the beginning, there's the woman that's like, "We should put you in a video game. I make video games." And then when he's on the plane going through like the database of whoever he works for, a kid comes along and he's like, "I've never played that video game before. Is it a shooter?" And he's like, "Yeah, and you can use real guns and you can kill people." It's like, Jesus Christ.
I think it peaked for me at the very beginning where he parachutes out of a car to what is it? Let the bodies hit the floor. That's so I can't remember what it's actually called. Where it's like it's insane. It's insane. It's very funny. Yeah, and then next week it's A Man Apart and another Fast and Furious movie. I think it's not. Who fucking knows? But it's a great time, and you can also find my Twitch, which I should be using this week. Actually, fun fact.
Wow.
I'm going to stream a little bit. I'm streaming the Chronicle. It's the Chronicles of Riddick is the other film, because I'm going to stream the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay.
Okay.
And then maybe Escape from Darkafina with Assault with Darkafina, which are like the prequel films for the Pitch Black and stuff. So.
Right.
I just thought it'd be quite fun. So either Oasis is going to join me or do them on my own. But my Twitch, I'll send the link out on my Twitter, obviously. So you can find me there.
You can also find Four Eyes and the Giant on Twitter at Four Eyes Giant. You can also find Ojai Films at Ojai Films. We've also got a website where you'll find links to everything. If you are watching us and you feel like, oh, I like this thing, but I'd rather do something else while listening to it, you can, you dummy. You can listen to us on all podcast services, all of them. And
there's links down in the description that actually work now, because I made them work. Because they were just text for some reason before, but now they're actually working. So
all right,
go us.
Yeah, so you can listen to us while you're driving or running or doing dishes or working out or researching.
What do your family do while they listen to this podcast?
My mum listens to us while they run and also while they travel to our cottage up north. Yeah. Also a fun thing, my family have caught on to how often you swear.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Because they were talking about, my mum was like, we're listening to your podcast while we drive up north. And my brother was like, he wrote like F this and F that. And I was like, I had to defend myself and be like, I only swear like once or twice an episode, but you do swear a lot. And I feel like as a fun wee thing, every episode we should count up how many times you swear. And then for the next episode, we take shots.
The thing is, I don't even notice him doing it, and I blame my father because he was in the army and he doesn't realize now that he swears all the time. So like I don't even realize, like it's just been ingrained into me. I don't even realize it anymore. And I think it's more when I'm trying to get words out as well. I'm just like, it's fucking, and I'm just sort of like going like that, like trying to think of the next word to say. So I apologize if I've offended anyone, but I feel like this is me well behaved. You've played zombies with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm much worse when I'm not on a public forum. So
yeah, that's it. That's great.
That's it.
Have a good day. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye.